Welcome back, everybody, to the Pittsburgh Pirates franchise here on MLB The Show 20. Today, we are wrapping up the month of July here with the trade deadline episode here in the series. Our Pirates are currently 62-43, 19 games ahead of 500 going into this deadline. 2 games ahead of the Milwaukee Brewers in first place. So, obviously, we will be massive buyers at this trade deadline. So the current outlook in the National League Central is that it is a 2-team race. It is just us in Milwaukee. There's nobody else in the competition. For those who have not followed super closely with the series the past 3 seasons, it's literally just been us in Milwaukee in that division. The Cubs are always in the middle, and then the Cardinals and Reds always suck. It seems like both us and Milwaukee are going to make the playoffs. There's no wild card threat in the East, and then in the West, Rockies and Padres are looking good. So I think the 5 teams in the National League are pretty set playoff-wise. Maybe a surprise team can win the NL East, but it seems like Colorado, San Diego, us, and Milwaukee are all pretty much good for the postseason, barring anything crazy. For the most part in the AL, the only big race is for the second wild card position. You got teams like the A's, Rays, Yankees, and Indians who are absolutely dominating right now. Currently, the Astros have that second wild card spot, but it is a fairly close race. So I do want to look at the numbers of the squad, starting with the lineup. I don't expect to make any changes with the batting lineup, as it has once again been one of the top lineups head to toe in baseball. I don't think the lineup has been as good as it was last year production-wise, even if there's more talent on this year's lineup. However, we have 8 good starters, and we have a lot of good bench players. Our bench is now fully healthy, by the way, for the first time in a while. Brian Hayes missed about 2 months. He is back. He was a platoon player, but since Benny Lena's done so good at third this year, Lena's just going to stay there every day for right now. So Hayes will be a bench bat for the rest of this season, and then in the offseason, we'll evaluate what we want to do with him in the future. The rotation is obviously where things get very iffy. This is where we're going to look to make a move at the deadline. So we have our ace in Jameson Taillon. The ERA is a bit high, but he's still had a very solid year. The middle of the rotation is where things obviously get fairly ugly. You got Julio Urias, who's in a contract year, by the way. He's a free agent this winter and has not lived up to standards. 5.16 ERA, 1.51 whip. He might not be a starter in this rotation for too much longer if he does not play better. But the sad part is he wasn't even our worst starter for most of this year. You may notice there is no Mitch Keller in the rotation right now. He was recently sent down to AAA. He's got to get his act together. His ERAs was in the 6, pretty high whip, I think a little bit over 1.6. So, I mean, he just cannot be starting on the Major League roster right now. And if he continues to play poorly, whether it's in the minors or back up in the majors, then he won't be a starter come playoff time. Thankfully, Jordan Yamamoto's had a pretty solid year, and then Santiago Osuna, since he got called up, he has been excellent. So, very happy to see Osuna's career starting off very well. You got Adonis Medina as the long reliever now. Right now, there's a decent chance Medina is starting soon. We're probably going to pick up a starter at the deadline, so Medina may stick as the long reliever, but if Julio Urias continues to play poor, then we might make a little switch, have Urias as the long reliever and Adonis Medina as a starter, because I think Medina is ready. Don't expect to really touch the bullpen. The middle relievers have all been great for the most part. Obviously, our back-end guys have not been doing too well. Pedro Baez has had a rough year. Will Smith hasn't been himself. And then Ken Giles, even though he was an all-star this year, his play does not warrant it. We got guys like Suero, Clase, Iglesias, Michael Givens, who have all had better years than Giles, but Giles just happens to have a lot of saves, and I guess MLB The Show thinks if you have saves, that means you're a really good relief pitcher rather than someone with a low ERA and low whip. So the logic of this game certainly is not the greatest. So obviously, we may look to trade some prospects today. As we look into the farm system, there aren't many untouchable prospects. If you look at the AAA squad, the only player with A potential on the entire team is Mitch Keller, who isn't technically a prospect, nor do I think he's going to stay in AAA for that much longer. So outside of Mitch Keller, there's really nobody on the AAA team who is untouchable. Yes, there are a lot of good prospects, but no, There's no one on AAA who I'm totally unwilling to trade if there is a good package. AA, we have a lot more A potential guys. I think the only really untouchable player here is Patrick Magana. I don't see a world where I'm really willing to trade him. Leonard Iguchi and Manuel Medrano are two players I'm willing to deal. I'd rather not trade Rob Hills if I don't have to. If I have to, then maybe, but I would not expect to see Magana or Rob Hills moved. Maybe Iguchi and Medrano can be pieces in big deals. And then the B and C guys, yeah, there are a lot of players down here I would rather not trade, but there are some guys I'd be willing to move on from if necessary. So I want to look at starters, mainly lefties, because the only lefty in our starting rotation is Julio Urias, and obviously that's not ideal. So it was kind of hard to find a lefty who fit what I was looking for. I wanted to find a guy who does not have a whole much longer on team control, and I wanted to find one who was on a bad team so it would make the most sense. And unfortunately, there weren't a lot of lefties who fit that mark, mainly because all of these lefties, for the most part, are on really good teams, so I kind of got unlucky there. One lefty I did run into who I think makes perfect sense is Chris Sale. One of the top left-handed starters in baseball, still is a 34-year-old. He is on the last year of his deal, so we don't have to worry about paying him after this season. He's on a bad Red Sox team, but the problem is he's on such a big contract, it's not going to work. The only player who financially we would be forced to trade is Josh Bell, and obviously that's not going to happen. So that means we can kind of cross off Chris Sale. So I did some more searching, and I came across Lance Lynn. Now, Lance Lynn is a righty. However, I am willing to not get a lefty if it means I'm getting a better righty. Lynn has had a very good season this year with the Texas Rangers. He is a free agent at the end of the year, and the Rangers are not a particularly good baseball team. So I was able to find a trade for Lance Lynn, and I think it's a fairly solid one for us. So we're going to be trading a few prospects, including starter pitcher James Jew. He has a lot of upside, and I kind of didn't want to trade him, but I do think it is worth it. So James Jew, 19 years old, 64 overall starter with B potential, going to the Rangers. Second baseman Clyde Gaskins, we acquired him in the offseason from the Nationals. He's a decent prospect. And then Wendell Vincent, one of the players we drafted in our very first draft. He ended up being a flop, so I don't have too much emotional attachment to him. They are going to the Rangers in exchange for Lance Lynn. So with the addition of Lynn, we have to call somebody down to AAA. There wasn't really anybody on the roster who I really wanted to move down right now, so we're going to move down Willian Astudillo. This means we just do not have a backup catcher on the Major League roster at the moment, which is a little bit annoying, but Francisco Mejia does have high durability, so I think he should be fine energy-wise. Now, I may call some bench bats down. Maybe if a guy like Pedro Baez keeps struggling, I'll call him down. So the roster is going to see a lot of turmoil, I guess, these next couple of weeks. But right now, Lance Lynn will be a starter, and there's no reason he won't be a starter for the rest of the year. Julio Urias, however, we have to kind of watch out for. He does have a start today against the Washington Nationals, and if he doesn't pitch well, he's going to not be pitching for us in the rotation much longer. Now, we did get the win, 3-2. However, Adonis Medina was the one who got the win, not Urias. Urias allowed 2 runs, I think, in like 4 or 5 innings. I'm going to give Urias one last chance. If he has another bad start, he's going to the bullpen. I am making a quick signing real quick. I forget his name, but we needed another pitcher in AA with James Jew gone. So he is now with the organization as we have got Game 4 in a 4-game series against the Washington Nationals, who are the current favorite to win the National League East. Here's a look at both lineups today, 1-9. Multiple former Pirates on this Washington team. You got Gregory Polanco, Yandy Diaz, Jace Fry is in their bullpen, so a lot of names that you might recognize from this series. The Nationals are doing something very interesting today. They have David Hernandez starting. Hernandez is not a starting pitcher. He is a relief pitcher. So as you can see, Washington is doing that strategy where they start a reliever, have him for a couple innings, and then just keep having relievers. As the first inning is very successful, Josh Bell is more blind than Helen Keller. I don't know what he was swinging at. That pitch was ugly. Lance Lynn on the mound for the Pirates. His first start with the team. Hopefully it's a good one, as he will strike out Victor Robles there in the bottom of the first inning. Lance Lynn's first K as a Pirate. Here's Pablo Cairo now up in the second inning. He's going to rip a base hit as the second baseman is unable to make the play there. So Cairo is now aboard. 2 on, 2 out. Count is full for Francisco Mejia, who will look at the outside fastball, drawing the walk. And the bases are now juiced. Unfortunately, it's Lance Lynn. And as you can imagine, Lynn is not able to drive in any runs. He grounds out to second. Probably one of Lance Lynn's first at-bats of the year, since he obviously played for an American League team. Bottom 2 now. Here's Chris Bryant striking out. Signed a few off seasons ago from the rival Cubs. Here's Brandon Belt now going down, swinging. This Nationals team looks very different, as you can tell, but they're still a pretty good team. On to inning number 3. You know who is still in Washington? This man right here, Juan Soto, one of the top outfielders in the game, diving to rob Brian Reynolds of a base hit. That would bring up a couple batters later. It'll be Benny Lang, who rips a single out into right field. So 2 runners on base and 2 outs for Dylan Carlson. Hits this one shallow into left field for a hit. Josh Bell thought about going home, but he's going to stick at third. So once again, the bases are juiced for the second straight inning. Pitching change for the Nationals. Ryan Harper is now into the game, as David Hernandez nearly made it through 3 innings as a reliever. That is fairly impressive. Wander Franco is up. He, once again, is unable to drive in some runs as he lines out to Brandon Belt. So the Pirates have had back-to-back innings with the bases loaded and have not scored a run today. That is pretty embarrassing, as Trey Turner will strike out. Victor Robles now going down swinging. I will say this, Lance Lynn has looked excellent through 3 innings, although the bats have not done well with runners in scoring position, to say the least. On to the 4th now. Francisco Mejia will ground into the 3-6-3 double play, as the Nationals infield is more chemistry than a science project. Juan Soto now up bottom 4. He goes down on the cutter. Lance Lynn is pitching an absolute gem right now. Gregory Polanco now up, the longtime Pirate. He's going to fly out over to Francisco Mejia. And Lance Lynn with 4 shutout innings, just continuing to dominate. Chris Bryant now chasing a fastball. That's how the 4th inning would officially end. As we go to the 5th inning, here's Jace Fry, the former Pirate, into the game. Fry and Yandy Diaz were part of the trade in the offseason to acquire reliever Wander Suero, along with infield prospect Clyde Gaskins, who was obviously traded to Texas today. Fry strikes out his former teammate O'Neal Cruz as we go to the bottom of the inning. Here's another former Pirate, this time Yandy Diaz, who goes down on the strikeout. Lance Lynn is still cooking, but all good things must come to an end, just like this Lance Lynn shutout, as Brandon Belt will belt this one deep into right field, his 17th home run of the season, and the scoreless drought for both teams is finally over, as the Washington Nationals are now on the board. Here's Andrew Stevenson later in the inning. He's just a window shopper. Say it with me, kids, because he's just looking. On to the 6th inning now. Sean Doolittle is into the game, hoping that this Pirates lineup will do little things to the scoreboard. I am sorry for the awful pun there, as Doolittle will get out at the top of the 6th fairly easily. There's Gregory Polanco striking out, ending the bottom of the 6th. And we go to the 7th. Brian Reynolds now up. That one is going to be sailed over the head of Victor Robles, but he does make the grab. Pittsburgh still has not driven in a run through 7 innings, as Lance Lynn's day would end after that. Raisel Iglesias now into the game, as he will open up the inning, striking out Chris Bryant. On to the 8th inning now. Tanner Rainey is in for the Nationals. It has not been a great season this year for Rainey, but he's going to try to rebound today, as with 2 outs, Benny Lynn will ground out to second, ending the inning. And now this is when things get real. Pittsburgh has 1 inning to potentially come back and try to get the win, or at least send this game to extras. Bottom 8, here's Josh Phegley going down on the high heat. Raisel Iglesias doing everything in his power to keep this a 1-score game. Starlin Castro now goes down on the slider. And then Trey Turner is up at the plate. He will rip this one into right center field. Trey Turner is shopping gap. And this bottom of the 8th inning has just gotten real interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Turner will pull into second with a double. So just like that, there is now a runner in scoring position for Washington. They have a chance to drive them home, and they will not do that. As Victor Robles grounds out to short, O'Neal Cruz will make the play, ending the inning, and we go to the ninth. Austin Voth is in for this save. 29 save opportunities. He currently has 26, which means he has blown 3 saves. Why not make it 4? Dylan Carlson with a solo shot into left, going oppo-popo, and with one swing of the bat, Pittsburgh will tie this game up at 1. It took them over 8 innings to get on the scoreboard, but ladies and gentlemen, they have finally done it, and it could not have come at a better time. Unfortunately, the rest of the Pirates are having a little bit of trouble extending this lead as Pablo Cairo strikes out. So does Francisco Mejia, ending the inning. So Washington has a chance to potentially get a walk-off here or send this game into extra innings. As it's the Fresh Prince of Pittsburgh, Will Smith, into the game, 3.91 ERA. Obviously a little bit disappointing as he will walk Juan Soto to lead the inning off. So already there's a runner on base. Gregory Polanco now, he's going fishing. Didn't get anything with that bait. That would bring up Chris Bryant. However, we got a man on the loose. The pinch runner, Luis Garcia, would steal second. Garcia is safe, which means there is now a runner in scoring position with 1 out for Washington to try to capitalize. Chris Bryant on the 3-2 pitch will draw a walk, so he is now aboard. That would bring up Austin Voth, the pitcher, who will bunt this one to third. Benny Lane wants to turn 2. However, Bryant is safe at second. Everybody's safe. Now the bases are loaded with 1 out, so the Pirates need a double play, and that's what they're going to get. Franco tags second, gets it to first. Bell with the play, and this game is going to extra innings. Pittsburgh should have this game lost by now, but they are going to keep it alive. Brian Reynolds will open up the inning off with a walk, so Pittsburgh has a runner on base here. This is an opportunity to try to get the lead for the first time today. O'Neal Cruz now up. He is safe at first as the shortstop, Trey Turner, is unable to make the play. So now there's 2 runners on, 1 out for Josh Bell, who will swing at the inside slider. Excellent pitch by Voth. Benny Lane now up. This is his time to shine as this ball is hit high and pretty deep into right field at the track of a wall, and the right fielder makes an incredible play. Running into the wall, that's Gregory Polanco who makes the catch, and we go to the bottom of the inning. Former National Wander Suero is into the game, back at his former ballpark as he gets Fegley to strike out. Trey Turner now 1-2 pitch going down on the curveball. These Pirate pitchers did an excellent job of striking out National batters today. On to the top of the 11th now. Time to start a rally as Wander Franco rips a base hit, so Pittsburgh now has a runner on base. Following batter, Pablo Cairo, with 1 out, gets this one over the head of Chris Bryant for a single into left. So now there are 2 runners on with 1 out. Pittsburgh has a legit opportunity to score now with 2 runners on base. Now the situation is runners on the corners after Wander Franco was sacrificed to third. 2 outs for the pinch hitter, Tony Kemp, who gets that one barely past the glove of Chris Bryant for a single. Franco will score. Pittsburgh now leads this game 2-1. Their first lead of the day, but why not add a little bit of insurance as Brian Reynolds gets this one into left field. Cairo scores, RBI double for Brian Reynolds, and the Pittsburgh Pirates now lead this game by a score of 3-1. Huge hit by Reynolds. There are 2 runners in scoring position now for O'Neal Cruz, but the fun will come to an end. Weak fly out. Bryant will make the play. So the Pirates are up by 2 going into the bottom of the 11th. A little 2-out rally as Ken Giles is in for the save. Obviously, it has not been a great year for Giles standards, but he does get Michael Taylor to strike out there. Down to their final strike. The former Pirate, Gregory Polanco, will go down on the outside slider, and the Pirates win a nail-biter by the final score of 3-1 in 11 innings. The bats were not great for either team today. Pittsburgh did not score until the 9th inning. The Pirates did have 12 hits in this game. They did not have a problem with getting runners on base. They just couldn't get runners home. Washington cannot hit at all. 4 hits, 1 run. They did not perform all that well. The pitching for both teams were great. Lance Lynn had a phenomenal debut. 6 innings, 1 run allowed, 10 strikeouts, and then the bullpen shut the door 5 shutout innings. They did their thing. Suero gets the win. Giles with the save. For the Nationals, obviously they did not hit the ball well, but they pitched it well. Excellent day from all of their relievers since, well, nobody started. Voth was the only one to allow any runs. He stayed into the game after he blew the save in the 9th inning, which I find fairly interesting. So that'll do it for today's episode. Not going to do any simming. I was in a little bit of a rush when I recorded this episode. So hope you guys enjoyed. Next episode, we're going to get through a decent chunk of August. I hope you all are excited for that because I know I am. Have a good one. Peace.